Hello. In this video, I will be responding to a video by Steve Matthews from the Teeth of the Lamb YouTube channel. The video is called Lunar Eclipse Problems. In the video, he requests answers to some questions and specifically requests animations that explain what he is seeing. I have found a number of problems with his understanding of his observations. There's a lot to cover on this, so let's get right into it.
So in their graphics, what they do is they move it about 300 times closer, as opposed to the 93 million miles away. They do this because it's the only way they can trick the spectator into thinking that the sun is capable of producing a penumbra. To produce a penumbra, it requires a light source much larger than the object blocking it. If this were reality, this is what you would see.
Steve Matthews, you are missing the point of this graphic. The first problem I see is that you find the graphic to be intentionally misleading. The graphic is obviously not to scale and is providing a visual representation intended to describe the mechanics of what a penumbra is. If it were to scale, the sun would be a dot and the earth and moon would not be discernible. Back to the penumbra. A penumbra does not have to conform to a specific shape. It is simply a reduction of light from a light source because it is being partially blocked. In my studio, I'm having my human assistant demonstrate with a flashlight and a golf ball. This first picture is simply what we see when we project a light onto a surface from the perspective of the light source. Now we will block a portion of the light with an object. This is the result. The place where the shadow is complete is in the umbra portion of the shadow, and from the perspective of the surface, the primary light source is blocked. The place where the shadow progresses from dark to light is the penumbra. It occurs because the light source is only partially blocked. From the perspective of someone on the moon during a lunar eclipse, this is an example of being in the penumbra. You can see a portion of the sun, but overall the light is reduced because of the partial blockage. We'll continue on, and this is an example of being in the umbra. In this case, the Earth is blocking the entirety of the sun.
You wouldn't see this because this can't produce a penumbra. And without a penumbra, you can't have a 2,159 mile wide object cast a 70 mile wide shadow.
In this case, you are confusing numbers from a solar eclipse with a lunar eclipse. There is no claim by heliocentric math that the shadow projected on the moon during a lunar eclipse be only 70 miles wide. In fact, it is substantially larger.
Okay, the first thing we need to note is that the Earth actually moves in a counterclockwise rotation around the sun. So that'd be to your left. And we moved it to the right in the last diagram.
Well, this depends on your viewing location. If you consider north up and observe from north of Earth, the Earth does in fact orbit the sun counterclockwise from that perspective. If you are viewing from a position south of Earth, the moon orbits clockwise from that position. We will use the perspective that you are referencing, top down from north of Earth, just to keep everything consistent.
The moon, when I was viewing it, was in the east, and it would be for anybody. So it's right over on that side.
Again, you are misunderstanding the geometry of the heliocentric model. The moon would indeed appear in the east from Phoenix, Arizona. However, from Germany, the moon appears in the western sky during the same time period.
We've got to get that shadow to start in the lower eastern corner of that moon, the lower left-hand side. I don't see any way to do that. We have to keep the Earth going in a counterclockwise rotation, which is moving to the left. Oh man, this is going to be hard. We just go right over it, but that's completely wrong. And we've traversed the whole day.
There are a couple problems with what you are saying here. The first thing that you're not factoring in is that the moon orbits the Earth, and it is a significantly larger factor than the Earth's orbit around the sun, which is what you are demonstrating. The second problem has to do with your viewing location on Earth. If you are viewing from Phoenix, your viewing perspective is substantially different than it would be at the North Pole. It is also substantially different than other locations on Earth. Here are a few different positions so you can see the comparison.
I want one of the brains out there to give me a animated demonstration of how that's possible to get the shadow to go across the moon the way we saw it. And I don't want still images. We'll all be waiting for an animated demonstration of how that works. And make sure you keep things going in the proper direction. And make sure it's from the vantage point of the sun.
Okay, here you go. How's this?
While you're at it, in your animation, show us how the sun keeps the moon lit when it's in perfect alignment behind the Earth.
The planetarium software I have doesn't model this effect from the perspective of the moon. It is caused by light refracting through the atmosphere of the Earth like you would see during a sunset or a sunrise. From the moon's perspective, you would see a red glow at the edge of the Earth, and that glow is what the moon is reflecting back to us.
Another issue I'm having with the eclipse is the vast amount of countries that were able to view it. North and South America, Europe, Western Africa, Central and Eastern Africa, and Asia.
I guess I don't understand your issue with this. Unlike a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse would be visible from any location that is able to observe the moon at the time of the eclipse.
Another observation that I'd like to pass on to everybody is that I noticed the Sea of Crises, the round crater at the top. Well, it stayed fixed in one location throughout the whole duration of the eclipse. Normally, I've noticed that the face of the moon will make a clockwise rotation, and in that many hours, it would make as much as a quarter of a turn.
This is an effect of field rotation. I have discussed this in some of my previous videos. I suggest you reference those. This effect varies depending on your viewing location on Earth and can be eliminated with the use of an equatorial mount. Thank you for watching. I look forward to your comments, likes, dislikes, and especially your subscription. If you find errors in what I have presented, please let me know in the comment section. Errors that significantly affect the outcome of the video will result in reproduction or an update video. Minor errors will be published in the description section. The parts of this video not produced by me are used under the Fair Use Act.